a French reporter, and since last 4 years I was really lucky to visit Yemen as a reporter, of course not as tourist, unfortunately. So I've been 4 times since 2021 until 2023. So I've been 2 times in the mainland and 2 times in Socotra as a reporter. So I did some investigation on the ground and some reportage. I don't know if you know some of my investigation, but I released and I discovered a big scandal about the oil pollution created by the oil company Total in Hadramaut. Or I've been in Marib and I report about the gathering of the tribes over there against the Houthis. Or I've been in Aden to write a story about the association, the women association called Abductees Mother Association, and those brave women they used to ask about their uncles, about their fathers, about their brothers jailed by some groups. So I wrote many articles on the ground in Yemen, so I was lucky to reach the country, because as a foreign reporter, it's really difficult to reach Yemen, and that's an issue for the French media and for the covering over there. So before to start my topic regarding how the French media are covering Yemen, I would like to tell you how much I deeply love your country, how much I felt in love with Yemen. So Yemen is deep in my heart now. So I mainly focus my work nowadays about Yemen, despite I'm working for a generalist media. Why that? I can't tell you. It's just I felt in love with your country, with the landscapes, with the different cultures and identities. So yeah, and we are not so much French journalists actually who have the luck to reach Yemen. So less than 10 French journalists have been in Yemen in the last 5 years. So it's very few amount of journalists. It's a very few amount of people who can describe the reality of what's going on in Yemen. So since 2015, the war in Yemen is more and more complex to understand without any direct experience on spot. Among the recognized government, there is different parties, actors who have been emerged since 10 years now. So for the most journalists and audience in France, there is a kind of misunderstood about who is fighting against who. So it's a bit difficult to understand for the French audience and for the French journalists as well, who don't have the patience, the luck to reach Yemen. So unfortunately, because of that, there is a lot of too simple, we can say, analysis we can read in the French outlets regarding the war in Yemen. When some journalists try to explain who are the Houthis and why there is a huge humanitarian crisis in Yemen. And so it's okay, so most of the journalists, French journalists, will explain that the war in Yemen is because there is 2 countries who are fighting each other, Iran and Saudi Arabia, which is not the case. We cannot explain the Yemeni civil war like this. It's too simple, it's too easy. So that's why when I reach Yemen, I try to cover different type of stories, and I try to focus my work on some different regions. So because now Yemen is not only one country, it's several countries, and we can say that there is different issues according to the governorates. For example, there were a war like 2 years ago I covered in Shabwa between the supporters of STC and the supporters of people against.
May I please, because we still have time, may I please ask you for a few minutes to say about what you think what is Yemen in French or also in Russian situations? And also you and Mrs. Anna, you didn't tell us now or until now, is there any way out for Yemeni war? Please continue.
Yeah, so it's really important to understand that because for us as foreign journalists, for French or for Russian, it's difficult to reach the country, it's difficult to get access, it's difficult to get visa, it's difficult to get the security approval we need to enter as a foreigner in Yemen. There is a misunderstanding about the situation, the global situation, and some people getting lost about why there is a war ongoing right now and since 10 years in Yemen. So the Yemeni government and the Yemeni parties should start to think about how it's important to facilitate the entering of foreign journalists in Yemen. Because what the Houthis are doing right now is they are taking some journalists.
In the north, foreign journalists has to pay a lot to get this access. I know the price is around 10,000 euros for 1 week to get access of North Yemen. And they will show to the French journalists what is going on with their own agenda, of course, with their own propaganda. Okay? So it's important for the Yemeni government and the other parties in the south to facilitate the work of the French journalists on spot. You know, to counterbalance, to have a balance covering of the country. And the problem is most of the French journalists, they want to come in Yemen, they faced a lot of difficulties. And because when they reach, for example, the Yemeni embassy in Paris, the Yemeni ambassador himself, he doesn't know how to get access for the foreign journalist in Yemen. He doesn't know himself how to do, with who to deal. So this is a huge problem, and it creates wrong information in French media. Most of the time, my colleagues working with other medias, when they want to write articles about Yemen, they will just say that Saudi Arabia is supporting the government and Iran is supporting Houthis. But we know, all of us, we know that it's more complicated than that. It's more complicated. If you want to talk about Yemen, you need to go deeper. You need to understand the history of the country. You need to understand why the reunification in 1990 and why the war after 1990 in 1994 create kind of issues who can explain the war ongoing. You need to understand why the wars against the Houthis in the early 2000s create the situation right now. And we need to understand as well as a journalist this whole picture. But for this, you of course need to read books, to read some reports made by and wrote by Yemenis themselves. But you need to be on spot, to go on spot, and to see with your own eyes, and to take testimonies. So that's why the Yemeni authorities should facilitate the work of the journalist. And for me, I'm struggling since 1 year. I've been 4 times in Yemen. I'm struggling since the early 2024 to come back in Yemen. And I failed because it's still difficult for me, even if I had a good contact and I interview some Yemeni politics, it's still difficult for me to reach the country. And as a reporter, that's the base of my country, my job, is to reporting from spot, from the ground. That's the main challenge for.
Just because you've been in Yemen too long that you have a lot of times to talk. Yes. Istirada, I'm sorry, I'm gonna go back to you. Is there any way out for Yemeni war?
I think that first of all, I would like to follow the line of my colleague, if I may.
Like, yeah.
Mike, like that. Now it's better. Okay. First of all, I would like to follow a little bit in his footsteps to say that it's so important, the mobility is so important, the openness is important, because you have used very strong words. You said that there are few countries now on the territory of one internationally recognized Yemen, because still in the United Nations there is one Yemen, is one government, and there are countries, they are not countries, they are communities which are hostile towards each other. And I think that it's crucial to have mobility, not only of journalists, that people can come and have true storytelling, what you do, describe what happens in reality, not to manipulate, because it's too much misconception, too much primitive approach, because there are groups who are interested to make it simple, to simplify in their own interest. And I think it's crucial to use I would say, the most rich resource which is there is the capacities to heal of Yemeni women. Because if we take that there are half a population who are women, and among them at least 6 million are in active age, they're from 20 to 50, and they now are restricted mostly by the Houthis, but also by the others. And the groups say that they have to protect that. So women can't move around without being accompanied by men. But that restricts them in visiting family. That restricts them to visit the other communities. And when we have the need to reunite, to break the walls, we have to have mobility, we have to have people-to-people contacts. And I think that this 6 million of Yemeni women, there is a hugely potential resource because they are not political. They are not into politics. They have these humane values as motherhood, as being a wife, as being a sister. And I think that is a resource that can be used and should be used to heal the country.
Which means that we still have a lot of time. شكرا جزيلا، شكرا للسيدة أنا وللصديق كونتين مولر.
مركز المخا للدراسات الاستراتيجية، حيث يلتقي اليمن بالعالم.